You're listening to Bedroom Beethovens, where notable music makers break down stories accompanied by songs and melodies documenting growth through their 10,000-hour journey. And me? Well, my name is Cello, your host.
What's up? This is J.Rocc, and I'm right here. I'm chilling on the Bedroom Beethovens podcast. That's what it is. Let's go.
People of Earth, welcome to episode 161 of the podcast.
Always here. I even wrote the song. All the time we shared. And if you can't say love, we'll prevail. Love will overcome. Evil will fail.
My guest this week is...
My name is J.Rocc from a crew called the Beat Junkies. LA, CA all day, California. I'm started off as a quote-unquote turntablist, and then got into production, and then been lucky enough to be affiliated with J Dilla and people like Madlib. But yeah, I've done a few things.
AKA the Funky President.
AKA the Funky Prez, people like to call me. Yes, there we go.
And if you can't say love, it all starts with job love. Eradicate the hate. We got a Phillips head in a case for your screw face. Brought a new pace. Embrace grace, cut the chase. Know our place in a world of anger with piles of waste. We're some do-gooders with the filtration. We're Mexican, Islander, Euro, African, Asian. Celebrate creator before creation. Division we're erasing.
Patiently taking all day waiting for the complications to cease and the nations to do as we've done. Replacement killers love a good fight. A good night kiss takes the queen but protects the king's life. While worldwide peace is just a figment, and now is where we're living. We can hold on to the vision, do our ancestors right by our decision. Thanksgiving to the most for the host of believers in this ghetto child's achievements through all the bereavements we are.
Always here. I even wrote the song. Time we share. And if you can't say love.
The scene is sunny, smoggy Southern California, early 1980s. Traffic is barely moving, and in the passenger seat of one of those cars is young Jason Jackson, spinning the dial on the FM radio. R&B, early hip-hop, electro, new wave, independent jams, and music from the superstars. It was all a few notches away when the airwaves were wild and free, and when the radio dial was not enough, J.Rocc got his first pair of turntables, and a DJ was born, like a character in a Marvel comic book learning how to use a superpower. Meanwhile, in the early 80s, a guy named Cello was born, and he would grow up to create a podcast, and their paths would meet. And what now presumes is an all-encompassing conversation where we talk about everyone from Eminem to J Dilla to his crew, the Beat Junkies, which have been a seminal force in the rise of instrumental hip-hop, and were among a handful of DJs who transformed the craft into an art form. And if you don't believe me, just reference episode number 56 with DJ Rhetmatic. All along the way, J.Rocc has been making his own beats, and a wonderful letter, his letter to Los Angeles, and his dedication to a lifetime of LA music scenes is only his second full-length album. But before we get to that, this podcast is available wherever it is you get podcasts, and I'd appreciate it if you rate and subscribe to whichever platform you choose, because these conversations will keep coming, and any support I get is appreciated. BedroomBeethovens.com is pretty much the hub where you can buy merch and see the archive of episodes, so poke around, have fun, and tell a friend. And last but not least, to keep the podcast ad-free, and for you, the listener, to get some perks, like early episodes and shout-outs, head on over to my Patreon. It's set up at patreon.com/bedroombeethovens with various support tiers. Let's build a community. Just $1 or $2. You know, give a little, get a little. I know times are strange. I know times are rough. But creatives don't stop. It's what keeps the world turning. Episode 161 with the legend J.Rocc. Let's go. I'm gonna hit you with another one. I don't know if you've been known to be called this, but you let me know. Baby Gramps.
Baby Grumps, probably.
Was it Baby Grumps?
I think it's Baby Grumps, because I'm always grumpy.
I don't believe that.
Whenever we would tour, me, Madlib, or, me, Madlib, and Egon, or me, Madlib, and Wolf, or whatever, everybody gets at some point, you start calling people nicknames and whatnot. But yeah, I was always like grumpy, like, oh man, come on, let's I was like always that dude. And then actually Otis was O would always call me that first, and then yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, baby Grumps," and then Egon, "Oh, baby, you baby Grumps right now." I'm like, "God, man, come on, man," because they also call me baby because I would like Reese cups and like I'm not gonna say like Arizona iced tea. Like on my rider, I would always have like, something like that on the rider, and they're into wine and into like all this other. And then they're like, oh, Reese cups, baby Grumps. You got the kid, little kid food. Got some candy now. Like, yeah, they would always make fun of me.
And they also said that you were especially grumpy when it was raining.
Yeah, anybody's mad when it's raining. When you're carrying shit, that's the part everybody misses. I'm carrying records. You know what I'm saying? This is pre Serato when we used to tour heavy. So I'm carrying like imagine carrying a anvil case of like 70, 80 records deep with no help, and you got to walk like 20 minutes from like the train station to like wherever. Man, it was nuts. Heck yeah, I was grumpy. I'm like, man, come on. You can't get a car for us? Yeah, this thing is heavy.
I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big ass. I remember that. I remember those days well, man. Those were even fun. Those are great. Villain Doom days. Yep. MF Doom days right there, boss.
Well, on a sunnier note, though, I do want to say happy 30th anniversary to the Beat Junkies, and I can't believe it because when I look at you, despite all these hardships, you look so young.
Oh man, thank you, man. I got gray hair though, but thank you. It's the music. It's definitely everybody. It's anybody that's into music, man. You got to keep some of that youth, unless you get grumpy into the like back to baby grumps, you know. I try not to be baby. That's why I have the gray hair because I was baby grumps. But yeah, man, just the music, man. You're into the music, so the music keeps you young, especially if you're trying to always listen to new music.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to the same old, same old.
Now, after so long, being in that crew, it's not like you guys are actively recruiting, But if there is like a Justice League, there has to be like a Teen Titans. Like, do you see the next generation of younger guys carrying that torch, or?
Yeah, we teach them at the school. We have a beat junkie school out here, so we teach them our style for the most part. We teach them the basics, but you also get in a bar or two of how DJ Babu DJs or how I DJ or Mellow or D Style. You're getting a little taste of everybody. We all may not be teaching there. Babu and Mr. Chalk are the main teachers, and then Rhett Matic is another one of the teachers. And then we have a lot of a lot of teacher assistants. A lot of people. There's a guy named Flip Flop. There's a guy named Dynamics, and there's another guy named Analog, and they help us out at the school a lot. And another guy named Silos. So I guess they know the style, and they know what we wouldn't have them helping us if we didn't feel comfortable with their DJing. Like only in LA, like you will see somebody say, DJ Silos and Babu from the Beat Junkies, and you'd be like, huh? There's no DJ Silos in the Beat Junkies, but that's like extended family. So there's a lot of people that are like that. But as far as like DJing, there's a lot of cats. I mean, at this point, our style is in a lot of cats' DJing technique. May not even be mine. May be melody style, or it may be Babu style. But we definitely influenced a whole generation. But that goes same thing with Qbert, and same thing with like Rob Swift and Rock Raider and them. Like everybody, A-Track even. A-Track is still kicking ass, and Craze. Like DJs from, those days that were just coming up. I mean, look at A-Track. A-Track still looks young too because he's so into the music. Craze is the same. Craze was out there doing, the DMCs, and same thing with A-Track. They were out there in them days that we were coming up. We're all from the same almost. There may be a year or two after us, But we're all crew.
Well, this is just my opinion, and you can agree or disagree, but I felt like DJ Crew's like Clark Kent Superman and the Executioners, the X-Men, and the Beat Junkies, I'll include them, of course, that the mainstream moment was the album built from scratch. It had everyone for Big Pun, Cool G Rap. You were on there, Large Pro, Primo, Shortcut, Biz Markie, Pharoah Monch, and Loud Records chose to release the single with Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I'm sure to capitalize on the hybrid theory, which was outselling Britney Spears at the time.
Oh shit.
I was 16 years old when that came out, and I remember dismissing it as like a side project for Linkin Park because that's how it was marketed. I'm older now, so I can appreciate turntable crews, but it's sad that you mentioned Qbert and Rock Rada and all these DJs. They didn't get to penetrate the MTV and the BET of the old days. So a rap fan like me, I'm all the way in Texas. How am I going to know about that stuff,
Yeah, I agree, man. I forgot about that. That's a good album, man, and that was definitely probably the pinnacle. That was the highest point that we could get to as far as all the crews, like being signed to a major label and actually putting out a full length album. Like that was amazing. They were able to do that. That's crazy. And yeah, that was dope, man. That was dope that I forgot that we were on it.
Another beat junkie, short shot. That's right. Collaborate with live niggas. Rob Swift.
That was probably the highlight, and that's crazy that you even that's dope. That's what that Linkin Park track was for. That Linkin track was for the people like you who were like, oh, I love Linkin Park. What, they got a side project? Where I'm gonna check this out. And then it's like, bam, nah, this ain't Linkin Park side project. This is, what kind of shit is this? You didn't know what to expect.
For 2001 and so on, you suckers.
So that's what that album did. That did its job, because they even did a video for that song.
Yeah, but no follow-up videos, no follow-up singles, which I feel like okay.
That was all they had. Loud record. That record wasn't selling. You know what I mean? Like, not to be like mean or nothing, but it wasn't going to do what they wanted it to do. I mean, they probably hoped that it was going to do something, but that was a gamble. A DJ album, bunch of scratching, and I mean, Big Pun was a label mate, so I could see him being on there. And there's like I think they didn't even have like Tom Tom Club. They had a Tom Tom Club
they
song.
were on there. Yep.
Yeah. They tried. Like, they definitely gave them a budget and they tried, but it just, that Linkin Park, that probably was an expensive video in the first place, and that might not even have helped the album. That was the freaking, that was the best part of DJing, of being in crews and seeing your homies have a major label deal and then asking you to be on it. Oh snap. We were like, for sure. Like, nah, that was a great time, man. That was so dope, man. I remember going to the studio that day with Raider and Babu and myself, and I think Rob Swift might have been there, just to guide us, like, okay, this is the kind of track we want, and this is what we're doing. But yeah, man, I mean, that was a great time, man. That was so dope.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna go pull that song out. Shoot.
And like I said, like I felt slighted because I'm over in Texas, and like the internet wasn't as big at the time, and that's why I kind of started this podcast as self-education. And I really do feel like without Adventures in Stereo, there wouldn't be podcasts like mine.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was a fun time too, man.
And why'd that venture end? Did you just feel like it was time?
Yeah, I just felt it was a public station, and it was dope that I was on, but I just got tired of doing pledge drives all the time, and and then I had to finish this album, so I didn't want to, like, it's kind of hard to do a radio show, and that would take up Wednesday to Friday, getting everything together, looking for music and downloading and record. Like, that would just take 2 days at least to make just to get the music together. So, I mean, that was 6 years. So, I mean, yeah, it was more than time to leave. And I was doing that as volunteer, that was all for just the love of music, just to have a radio show, and I was like, I needed to do a radio show. But yeah, and then but the main reason it stopped though is because I really needed to focus on making an album and finishing it up, because I was kind of working on it then, but I wasn't able to like really focus and complete, because then I would have 2 days to work on that, if do 2 days of that, and then I would have 3 days of radio, and then the weekend I might have a get. So it got to be a mess. Like, oh man, I got to do the radio show. I got to pre-record it. Yeah, it was just a mess after a while. So it was a time thing. But I would never say I would never go do it again. That was great. I love it. I love doing radio. Radio is great. And being able to have guests and being able to have, man, it's the people that I had on. I didn't even like to toot my own horn, but there's really no radio show that had the only problem I didn't have was I didn't have people rap or do a freestyle or perform there. So I didn't do that enough. But like just from Azamuchi to having someone like Pink Sifu, the total different spectrums of the board. One, people don't even know who, and then one, like Azamuchi, I don't know this group, but they're from Brazil. They're legendary. Like, just to have such a broad a spectrum of being able to have crazy guests like that was just nuts. That was the part that I love. Meta World Peace, like, come on, man. Like, it was just crazy to have those guests.
Yeah, I kind of pride myself in that too. Like I had on Steve Arrington like 2 years ago, and I have imposter syndrome. Like, man, what am I doing talking to this guy?
Nah, yeah, I never even got him. But yeah, that's dope. Yeah, see, that's someone I wish I would have had on, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just always that's why I like doing the show, is just being able to have all those different guests on. That was the one thing I do miss, just because there's been people in town and I'm like, damn, if I only had a radio show still, I would totally love to have these people on.
What's funny is K Tronada, he tweeted a huge compliment your way last week. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's the homie, man. So he's always shown love. So like, that's definitely, like, I can honestly say that's one of the homies. Like, I could text him and he'll actually respond. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get that. You don't get that much. I'm not saying that I'm like best friends with him, but that's definitely like the homie. And
But I love that he can look at his fans and be like, y'all probably never listen to guys like J.Rocc. What's wrong with y'all?
yeah, that's dope, man. I was honored to even be mentioned like that, man. Like, that's dope. That's super dope. Like, someone like him too. Someone, he's dope. Like, what the heck? He's that's K Tronada, man. He's up there. It don't get no better than that.
And the context of the tweet was he's heavily influenced by house music, and
Yep.
just because he uses drum samples instead of the go-to crispy clean drums doesn't mean that he's not doing that. And I remember when you released some cold rock stuff, and there is this conflict, the same thing that K Tronada just tweeted about. The US, we're kind of set in our ways in what we listen to, and overseas the crowds are a little bit more fluid. So DJing, it's freeing to DJ overseas, but if you release an album that's electronic and dance and smoke and assorted cold rock stuff, is there a barrier to entry? Would a track like Flawless turn off a rap fan? Because it sounds very Dame Funk. It's very LA to me, at least.
Yep. 100%. You got that right. Very LA, man. That's what the album is all about. He definitely, K Tronada definitely is one of them cats that studies. And so that's dope that he even mentioned Madlib, but he was like DJ Rails. That's dope. He does his research, and that he's not just on K Tronada. You know what I mean? He's on everything. He wants to, even his DJ sets. I've peeped a few of his DJ sets, like if I see clips or something online, and even what he's playing, he's not playing, he doesn't just play, quote unquote, the K Tronada vibe, but he's playing like Roy Ayers, Chicago. He's like playing like these deep cuts, and people are, he's getting that reaction. And I find that's what I like about him the most, is I like that he does that. He's super dope, man. But yeah, as far as co-rock stuff, and that was just what it was. I mean, back then, that was more or less then making that album. I was more or less trying to do my own. But that was like me biting, introducing. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like trying to make a record. Not saying I was trying to sound like Shadow shit, but I was trying to definitely like, damn, ain't nobody making no shit like this no more. You know, nobody's making no beats with just drum loops and some crazy samples. So that was my motivation for that album,
Yeah,
more or less for this one.
there used to be a club in the Hollywood area called Star Shoes, and
Yep,
yeah, and if you DJ'd there and you got too far left, the doorman would get mad at you. He's like, no Turkish music, no Brazilian music. I think Cut
yep.
Chemist played there for half a decade. So I mean, we're always kind of closed minded here. I don't get it.
No, Cut played there. Egon played there. I played there. Madlib was playing there. Everyone played there. They had one night, like a funk night. Miles Tackett from the Breakestra was playing there. Yeah, there was, man, that was the go-to spot on the weekend. I forgot what night it was, but uh, shoot, they had a couple nights that were popping over there. That was definitely one of the hot spots to go to at that time. And it wasn't a big spot. It would maybe hold 80 to 100 people. So it wasn't a place that was so it was more intimate, you know, and the dance floor could probably hold maybe 15 people, you know, and you could dance in the way of next to the bar. But other than that, it wasn't really a club, quote unquote club. But probably, yeah, they wouldn't like when you would experiment. They didn't like that at all. I think they told everybody might have gotten that once from the security. But Cut and them used to go real left. They wouldn't they're not playing just like something with a beat. They're trying to outshine each other. You know what I mean? That night was more or less like everyone come with your heaters. And cuz you know so and so and so and so and so and so is going to be there. That was really what that night was. Yeah, you would go to that night and definitely have some songs for the crowd, but it was especially those funk nights. They were doing just the rare. They were going deep. They were coming there with records that are probably now $1,000, you know. But back then they just were hip to it and early in the game. Yeah, that was a nice club, man. Star Shoes, damn.
The project that you mentioned at the top of the show that you're proud of, man, isn't even on streaming either. Sound Bombing 2. They don't make albums like that anymore.
Nah, man. And they probably didn't sign all the correct paperwork, and there's probably some samples in that shit. Probably after Simon Says Raucous Records, probably everybody was looking at their records for samples. But damn, that's crazy. I never even thought of to look up Sound Bombing 2
Yeah.
to see if it was.
So you hear lyrics like I got an aspirin capsule trapped in my Adam's apple. What are you thinking that
shit.
this guy is going to be huge someday? And of course I'm talking about M.
Hi. Original bad boy on the case, cover your face. Came into place, blowed and sprayed puffy with mace.
Well, shit, me and Babu DJ'd for the rap battle that Eminem was in out here. He came to LA, and I don't remember meeting him, but he came to LA and he stopped at Fat Beats and dropped off whatever EP, I forgot the name of it. He dropped off vinyl and CDs of all of those records. I forgot the album, but his first shit, the EP that blew him up.
I think it was Infinite, right?
Yep, Infinite.
I kick you in the tummy until you sick to your stomach and vomit so much blood that your clothes stick to you from it. Hit you in the head with a brick till you plummet. If y'all don't like me, you can suck my till you numb it. And all that gibberish you was spitting, you need to kill it. Cause your style is like dying in my sleep, I don't feel it.
So he dropped off vinyl, CDs that day, and then he did the rap battle, and then Saturday he might have did Wake Up Show. By Sunday, he came back to Fat Beats and grabbed all the copies of his records because Dr. Dre just signed them over those 2 days. That's how quick those records no one bought it. No one was able to buy it in LA because one, no one knew who he was. And yeah, we had copies. I always remember that, man. So yeah, Me and Babu DJ for him.
Wow. So how do you have Eminem
So
that catches fire, and then you have Sharif Ben Buford, who was signed to Aftermath, had songs produced by Dre. I believe it was
yeah,
called Lyrical Assault Weapon Law. You know what I mean?
yeah.
How does one catch and the other doesn't?
I don't know, man. I don't think anybody caught from that comp though that Ben was on. There's a bunch of people on there that no one blew up off of that comp. The only thing that blew up was the Been There Done That song. Nobody played that record. Not even out here in LA. We were like, you better go back to smoking some chronic. Ain't nobody trying to listen to this album.
Yeah,
No.
there was also Truly Odd, who you did the Heavyweights Volume 1
Yep.
MC Killer, and that stuff's
Yep.
so elusive, you know, over 20 years that came out, and Crondon's on the intro because he's the DJ for Strong Arm Steady. But nobody owns the test print. Nobody's selling the test print. Nobody ever has it. So I don't know if these type of releases stay in your archive and they never leave, but you don't see
Oh, I got all my shit, man. I keep one of everything at least, man. So I mean, that's all my shit. And the funny thing is, you know who Crondon went on and did? Crondon went on to be Tobias on the TV show Black Lightning.
He's a TV star.
Now he's a TV star doing voiceovers for Spider-Man cartoons and stuff. Yeah, man. Those are all just things that you do, you know, out here in LA. Those are all the homies. Ben Buford, Truly Odd. Truly Odd did the radio show with me with Mr. Chalk, Friday Night Flavors. We were doing that. So I was already down with Truly. And Ben Buford was one of Truly's homies. That was one of Truly's running buddies. Because Truly actually put out Crondon's first single. Like, he made Crondon rap. He's the first person that ever recorded Crondon rapping. The song was called Thin Minutes. It's an EP. It's like 3 or 4 songs on the single. But yeah, that's Crondon's debut.
And keep blasting, forgetting that all action in situations lead to repercussion. Your body bloody at the function. On me, I mash with Machiavelli, steady pumping, roller tighten up. Can't wait for loose ends to tighten up. Tell fly as fuck, spinning your life to hype me up.
And I think I might even be doing scratches on that, on one of those songs. That's just our crew, man. This LA, everybody knows everybody, and you know, just because we don't have the same kind of music. Everybody, you know, I don't mean that as far as like me and Truly Odd, but I'm saying even K Tronada. Like, those are two total different freaking people. Truly Odd and Crondon and Ben Buford, which is the hardest hip hop stuff. Not even, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's straight hip hop. It's not commercial. It's like some hip hop, and then K Tronada, which is the furthest from hip hop, but is influenced by hip hop, you know? So man, that's just LA, and you know, you just meet people and you just become homies.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, what you did, and this is around the same year, the Sex Machine Club, when you did the, you know, I know Cool the Gang 28 years prior from you releasing yours, and kudos on the cover art because the homage was beautiful, but live at the Sex Machine, where you brought a mix that included everybody from, and these are new to me, but you know, as a music lover, it helps me because you lure me in with Black Star, Gangstar, Mobb Deep, but then it's like, oh, who's Reuben Wilson? Who's the Frearson Brothers? Oh, I know who Public Enemy is and Steely Dan, but who's Missing Links? Yeah. Who's Tafari? And I feel like, you know, if you follow down this rabbit hole with these mixtapes, that's where the good exposure comes from. I think what you were doing with like the Syndromes remix and the mixtapes like that for my generation, I feel like Adrian Young is doing that with his Jazz is Dead series. Like the Roy Ayers is a good one. And I was telling Cosmo Baker this the other day. I never heard of Gene Carn. So that release that he just did, it was eye-opening. And maybe you have people come up to you like J.Rocc. Because of you, I discovered Grover Washington Jr. and Instant Funk because of you.
It goes to like, I heard it somewhere, you know, and I was introduced to it somewhere. That's all. That's what tapes were about back then when you were making tapes. I was influenced by Babu's mixtape. He made a mixtape called, what was Babu's first mixtape? And it's only one side, but it was the illest mixtape, and it was so timeless. And I just wanted to make timeless mixtapes where you played. So at the time I made Sex Machine, I think something on there is new, Mob Deep or one of those groups, Missing Links. I think something's new, something's a new song. But then I wanted to throw some timeless stuff in there and just mix it all up. And that was the goal. That was the goal with Syndromes, is like, man, we got to make these timeless. We got to make somehow, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm hoping that these tapes are timeless. I don't want them to just have like a month's lifespan. Like if I just made a mixtape of all the new hot songs out at the time, then that tape would sound super dated now. It would sound cool maybe, but it would just sound dated. But if you listen to Syndromes, that could be somebody making a tape now still, like, oh shit, samples. Like people still do that. That's not something that ever went away. People still make, like now they just do it on TikTok. They just make, sample mixes on TikTok. Oh, I'm going to show you the sample for Mariah Carey. They sampled Mariah Carey, a big girl energy, like that's what Syndromes is nowadays. Somebody playing Lizzo into Mariah Carey into Tom Tom Club. Like that's basically what Syndromes was. It's just, I just mixed just the originals and scratched the songs that were sampled into those. But yeah, that's just the goal, man, is to introduce people to new music.
Yeah, there's a landfill somewhere in the world with like just now that's what I call music volume 8.
Yeah, those all.
Yeah, what I really like is so there's that beat by Dilla called One for Ghost, which I think you were in the room when that beat was made. And the reason why I like stuff like that is the producer can make a beat probably thinking about their own life while they make it. And then they give it to a lyricist and it has the same effect on them, but they can recount a different tale. Like, maybe Dilla got scolded by his mom, and then when Ghostface is on it, he's thinking about the time he got scolded by his mom. So it's like a 2-for-1. You get 2 experiences in one song.
You talking about Hit Me With a Strap?
Oh, yeah.
That was bad.
Didn't get the big yet, that's called the belt. Help me as I yelled, I'm in the room like with man whelps, ragged out, bad belt. Yes, her presence was felt. Then get my black ass in the bed, it's time to crash out, pass out.
Yeah, I remember when he made that shit. I definitely, because his mom was actually there, and when he played me the beat, and then I go, "Is that true, Ma Dukes?" Yeah, I remember doing it. I was like, "My Dukes." It's like, oh man, he used to beat him. But
hey, if you can pull inspiration from anywhere, that's what counts.
Yeah, I remember when he made that. Yeah, you're definitely right, man. Ghostface put his own twist and his own tail on it. He did that with the other one too, though, with standing at the bus stop. That one. High. I forgot what's he call it, Beauty Jackson or something like that. But
so when he made a beat, did he always have someone in mind specifically?
Nah, he was just making beats, man. This is just what you do. You just make beats. Maybe he might have. I wasn't in his mind, but but as far as I could tell myself personally, when I see it, this is just me. It's just making beats. Same thing with what are you gonna say? All the Madlib stuff. He's talking. You know what I mean? Like he's just making beats. It goes the same thing with you gonna say Just Blaze was thinking about a girl when he made Oh Boy, you're just making beats, and that's just what he was Dilla just gravitated towards at that time, just chopping things to say something else, or so he was into chopping super heavy and having you try to figure out either what he's sampling or hopefully you can't figure out what he's sampling. But yeah, he was more into chopping stuff up. He wasn't necessarily like probably trying to create a message to the for the afterlife. I think he was just making beats.
Donuts, when it was released, he passed 3 days later, and in that short time, in that 72 hours, did he feel the love of his fans and the peers the day that album dropped? Did he know instantaneously the impact that album was going to have? Like, was he content when the album came out? Like he checked something off huge off his bucket list?
I don't know. I don't think he did. I think he just think the album just came out because the album didn't blow up when he came out, not in those three. It didn't blow up until he passed away. It was just it, it was just selling probably decently when it came out. But I don't think it was what it was, what it's now, what it has become when it first came out. Us, the true Dilla fans, were already into it when it came out. Like, oh shit, new Dilla album. Let's go. Oh man, this is fire. Of course, those people were already there. But as far as the masses and people wanting to see who this guy is that so and so talks, Pharrell talked about, or Kanye West talked about, or it didn't become that until after he passed away. So then it becomes this whole, this whole event.
I think the same could be said about Madlib, but Babu was bumping Madlib in like 89, 90. But the marriage, like depending on who you ask, they'll say, "Oh, well, by chance, Dilla heard a mixtape of his beats with Madlib." But that musical marriage was due to you, correct?
We all knew. Everybody knew who everybody was. I just facilitated getting a beat tape. That's all it was. Like I got beat. Jake One. He would get some Dilla beat tapes every once in a while, or he'd get Slum Village demos, or he would just get the shit before nobody had these things back in this time. So there was no such thing as internet or someone lacing you with a J Dilla tape. They were definitely, you had to be somebody to know somebody to get a Dilla tape, or to even get a dub of a Dilla beat tape. It wasn't like floating around or anything. So Jake One was, the only person I knew that ever had one, and he would hook me up with whatever he got. And then when I got it, I'm gonna hook up a few of my homies now. So I would hook up, Rhetmatic, or I'd hook up Madlib. So I'd be like, I just got a whole Dilla beat CD. And then I gave that to him. And then that's when he started, he did he did remixes. He didn't rap on them at first. At first he did like a whole, he did half and half actually. He did a whole project where he just took the beats and like did a Simon Says remix, I think a Common remix. He did no, not Common, Charisma, I think. He just did a couple acapellas over Dilla beats, and then he did a couple like Quasimodo songs over them. And then that was the beginning of him rapping over the Dilla stuff. And then that's when Dilla heard a bootleg that Wolf put out of one of the songs. He put JFK, LA, or I don't even, JFK to LA or something like that.
Hey yo, people always ask me,
Hey, yo, where Madlib at?
I'll be up in them parties where they be at.
But he put a J-Lib song on a bootleg, and Dilla heard it, and that's when it all kicked off.
And if people say you're the third member of J-Lib, you're not going to argue with them.
No, I'm not gonna argue, but I was just the DJ. I'm not on. If I was the third member, I'd be in like Run DMC type photos. You know what I'm saying? I'd be Jam Master Jay in the background. But I definitely was down. I was definitely I was the DJ for both of them, so it wasn't even just for quote unquote J-Lib. Like I did me and Madlib when we had shows, it would be just me and Madlib. If me and Dilla had shows, I would just do shows for Dilla. So, or if we had a gig, I'd do it with Dilla. So after a while, I just became the DJ with them both, not just J-Lib. And I was already doing Madlib shows before J-Lib. But yeah, I'll take the third member, but I'm not super official. I'm not on the album cover or nothing.
Well, I was just wondering, it's just like, I always wonder why the DJ never made it into the names of groups. Because when I was growing up, I thought Run DMC was two guys because the DJ never made it into the name. Yeah. And if you're a casual fan, you never know that the DJs count, they put all this countless hours in for them. So I'm like, you hear, give the drummer some. I say give the DJ some.
But there's moments where the DJ's first, Eric being Rakim or DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. So there's times where the DJ did get first. But Run DMC repped Jam Master Jay. They made a whole song for him, so it wasn't anything personal. But it probably would have sounded. Run DMC sounds better than Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. That'd be a long name for a group.
Well, you said that being accepted was a turning point in your career. Was there a specific day, a moment where you were like, this is it? That was the compliment I needed from this guy, or this was the acknowledgement from this person, or the cosign, or I booked a gig at this venue where you were like, I made it.
It's the gig, it's the person, it's the people, it's all of that. You never feel like you make it totally. I mean, I'm sure Drake and Kanye West maybe feel like they made it, but there's always you never know. So you just keep going until you just have to keep going and just hopefully you do get accepted. So I think I got hyped. I just get hyped when I meet someone I'm a fan of and they're a fan of mine. That's when I get like, okay, that's dope. This cat knows who I am. A lot of times yes, it happens. They do know me. And then sometimes, I'll meet somebody I'm a fan of and they'll be like, oh, I've never heard of J.Rocc, and I don't have to school them or nothing, but you just become cool with them. And then eventually they're like, oh shit. All right, J.Rocc is kind of cool. That's when you get accepted. Like when you meet your peers and when I can meet my peers, when I meet J Dilla per se, and I'm accepted by him, that's when I knew I was, all right, cool. When I got accepted by Wolf, all right, Peanut Butter Wolf likes me. All right, I'm getting somewhere. It's everything all combined. Just like all the stuff you said, it's all that mixed in.
So can I say J.Rocc likes me, and that's another rung on my ladder?
There you go. Yeah, that's how you do it. So
I'll take it, man.
So and so likes me, man. Yeah, man. It doesn't always work because then people can accuse you of name dropping. So you don't want to be like a big name dropper.
Too late. J.Rocc's my friend.
Be like, oh man, he just name drops J.Rocc all the time. That's like me. I can't always say J Dilla because then it'd be like, he's just trying to ride off of J Dilla or sound bombing too. Like, man, this guy's just sound bombing too for his whole life. Nah, you gotta, it works sometimes, but you gotta keep it moving and just hopefully you're accepted by another person. There'll be someone better than J.Rocc next time that you'll be like, oh man, I know J.Rocc and I know Cosmo Baker. Shit, Cosmo Baker is another dude who you're like, man, all right, Cosmo Baker, that's dope. So that even gives you a more green light.
There you go.
That's the homie too. And if that dude accepts you, that's just if he's accepting you and you're like, oh yeah, my man Cosmo Baker, he was talking to me the other boo boo boo. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the homie. Cosmo, tell him I said what's up next time you talk, or I'll text him. Oh man, boo boo boo. But yeah, it's always nice to be accepted by somebody. You don't want somebody to be a dick.
Oh yeah, of course not.
That's terrible. Man, I met so and so. He's a jerk.
He's grumpy.
Yeah, he's baby grumps.
Well, I mean that could translate like the psychology in your guest appearances when I'm looking at this new album. I mean, forget DJ Khaled. I feel like if you called, they would pick up. If there's a Steve Arrington, there could just as well be a Twilight Tone. There could be a MED. There could have been a Madlib verse. Or I remember Nightlife in LA. Primo, Pete Rock, Slum Village would come out. You opened for Black Star, and they just reunited. So you could have had anyone you wanted within the 30 plus years of music networking you've done. But the people that are there for a reason.
Those are all the homies. Those are people, that those are people that I've been working with lately. I've done scratches for them or I've done beats for them or whatever the case is, and I just felt that they've kept me in the mix with their shit. So it's only right. I asked them to be on my shit, That's what that was all about.
Yeah, and Dame Funk put out a 5 LP for his first release, and your solo outing had a mystery disc and 3 LPs and a triple gatefold and stickers
Yep.
and posters. And I'm spoiled, man. I want to
Yep.
pop out graphics, quadruple gatefold, splatter, wax mage vinyl, but sadly, it's just a 1 LP. No die cut packaging, no embossing. It's all business with this release.
It would take another year for all that. we would be talking in next year if I was trying to do all that. Those were days when making that took 4 months probably. You know what I mean? Like, all right, we're gonna make 5 vinyl in a box for Dame Funk. J.Rocc, we're making a poster, some stickers. We're gonna throw all that. Took probably like 3-4 months for them to make the packaging, to make the poster, to make the stickers. Nowadays, that would take probably a year and a half to get first the packaging. Oh man, the gatefold isn't right. You gotta send it back to whatever place you're getting it from. It just would be a hassle, and that album would take another 6-7 months. I mean, I waited a long time for the vinyl to be pressed up. Like this probably would have came out late last year if the vinyl was ready, you know. But the vinyl's ridiculous, so you got to just wait.
Well, you have the floor. Is there anything else that we need to talk about with Welcome Letter?
The album is just a open letter to the public. It's a day in LA, a day in California, a day in OC or Riverside, wherever, Southern California. It's a day for that. And it's a little bit of everything: hip hop, house, some electro, some R&B. It's a little bit of some boom bap. You know, everything is it's all bases touched. And I didn't do that on purpose. That's just how I get down. I don't listen to just hip hop. I don't just listen to house. I don't just, so it's more or less
a little Kern County flavor.
A little bit of Kern County for you.
There you go. One of the best DJs of all time. I think it's a title that you won't embrace, but I'm not shy calling you that.
Oh, thank you, man. I might not embrace it, but because there's always someone better than you. But I definitely appreciate being in that category.
Well, I appreciate you being here, man. And June 17th is the date, and I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for swinging by.
Oh no, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.